The air was thick, the kind of heat that makes your skin feel like it's sizzling on the pavement. And I'm not talking about the summer is here kind of heat. No, this was the kind of heat that wraps around you like an unforgiving blanket. You know the one. The kind that doesn't care if you're wearing a fancy suit or just a t-shirt. It was the type of heat you'd expect in a desert, not the suburbs of Pleasant Meadows. But there we were, a small, sweaty crowd gathered outside our community clubhouse, all of us desperately waiting for the promised cool refuge that was supposed to be inside the cooling center. Now, let me paint the picture for you. There's Karen standing inside, wearing a pastel pink pantsuit that looked as though it could deflect an F5 tornado. It was like she was immune to the heat, as though the laws of nature didn't apply to her. She's got the keys, dangling them from a single bony finger, a smirk plastered on her face, as if she were the queen of the neighborhood. The rest of us were, well, we were dying out there. And you'd think someone with the title of HOA president would be a little more understanding, right? Wrong. She stood there, smug, as if she was some kind of benevolent ruler. Mrs. Gable, bless her heart, an old lady whose dog, Fifi, was practically melting in her arms, begged her to let them in. Please, Karen, my Fifi's asthmatic. He needs the AC. Mrs. Gable's voice quivered, desperate. But Karen, with a voice as cold as the air-conditioned air she was guarding, didn't budge. Rules are rules, she said, tapping a perfectly manicured nail on the door like she was schooling us. The cooling center is open Monday through Friday, not Saturday. At that moment, I looked around. The crowd was slowly dissolving, defeated, shuffling off back to their overheated homes. Old Mr. Henderson, who was about 2 seconds away from turning into a puddle, slumped his shoulders in defeat. And for the first time since I moved into Pleasant Meadows, this place I thought was going to be my peaceful escape from the world, I had had enough. Now, I had only been living here for about a month. I'm a freelance product designer, which means I get to work from home. On paper, it was the perfect place to live. Serene, suburban, calm. Everything the brochure promised. They didn't tell me, though, about the local warlord who ran the thermostat like she owned the whole town. I'd spent the last few weeks trying to keep my head down, trying to be the quiet guy who mows his lawn on time, doesn't leave trash cans out for more than the allotted 12 hours, and stays out of HOA drama. But as I stood there in that oppressive heat, watching my neighbors' community struggle, something inside me snapped. I turned to Dave, my neighbor next door. Dave's one of those guys who's always got a Hawaiian shirt on, even in the dead of summer. He's been around longer than me, a self-proclaimed veteran of the HOA wars. She's on a tear, he muttered, wiping sweat off his forehead. She's got a vendetta against anyone who doesn't paint their house in the exact shade of beige she approves. I didn't respond. Instead, I smiled to myself. It wasn't a big smile, but it was one that said I had an idea, a plan. Give me 4 minutes, I said, already turning on my heel and heading back to my house. Dave stared after me, his brow furrowed in confusion. What are you going to do? Dig a tunnel under her, he called after me. I just grinned wider, feeling that surge of adrenaline. Something in Might wasn't just frustration anymore. It was a mix of defiance and a little bit of excitement had clicked into place. Something like that, I said over my shoulder. Back at my house, my garage was my sanctuary. It smelled like sawdust, hot metal, and potential. It was where I could get away from the world. And tucked in the corner, hidden beneath a heavy tarp, was my pride and joy. I pulled off the tarp, revealing the Climate Case 5000, a sleek, futuristic mobile climate control trailer. I designed it for a client, Aegis Outdoor Solutions. They specialized in high-end disaster relief units and luxury outdoor events. I'd won the design competition for it, and it was my bonus. Better than cash, honestly. It was a disaster-proof, apocalypse-ready party pod. It could handle anything. Military-grade insulated composite panels, a solar-assisted HVAC system, and a battery bank that could keep the inside at a perfect 70 degrees in the middle of a heat wave or a blizzard. I looked at it, feeling a sense of purpose surge through me. I slapped the side of it like it was a race car. Dave, I yelled, get ready for the coolest block party in history. Dave wandered over, still confused. His eyes went wide when he saw the trailer. What the hell is that? I ran a hand down its metallic surface. This is the Climate Case 5000. It's an air-conditioned fortress on wheels, and it's about to be the most popular thing in Pleasant Meadows. I grabbed the remote control, and powered it on. A low hum filled the garage. It was like the trailer was waking up from a long nap, and I was about to unleash it on the world. I backed my truck up to the trailer, hit a button on the remote, and watched as the trailer smoothly, silently, hitched up to the ball. It was almost like it was gliding. I didn't even break a sweat. I pulled the truck and trailer out of the driveway. The neighbors who were still outside stopped and stared. They must have thought I was insane. I parked it right in front of the clubhouse, directly on the street. I wanted Karen to see this. With a flourish, I hit the deploy button. The trailer's hydraulic jacks lowered with a soft hiss, leveling it out. The sidewall unfolded, forming a porch, and the roof extended to create a large awning. In 3 minutes and 47 seconds, the transformation was complete. The air around the trailer shifted cool, fresh, and inviting. A wave of cold air flooded the street, and I stood there like the proud creator of a masterpiece, a grin plastered across my face. The Pleasant Meadows Annex for sensible temperature regulation is now open, I shouted, feeling every ounce of pride in my voice. No shoes, no shirt, no problem. Just no Karens. There was a pause. Then, from across the street, Mr. Henderson who'd been sweating like he was in a sauna let out a whoop. One by one, the neighbors who'd been shuffling off in defeat started to wander over, drawn to the cooling center like it was an oasis in the desert. By the time 10 minutes had passed, my trailer was the talk of the block. The place was buzzing with energy. People were bringing out lawn chairs, coolers of beer and soda, even a plate of brownies that disappeared faster than a bag of chips at a kid's party. And then, of course, Karen came marching over, like a storm cloud with a clipboard. She stopped in front of the trailer, her face red with rage, and her voice high-pitched as she demanded, "What is the meaning of this monstrosity?" I took a slow sip of my water, leaned against the trailer, and smiled. "This, Karen, is a cooling center. You know, the one you locked. Ring any bells?" She stuttered, her eyes flicking from the trailer to the crowd, as though trying to figure out how she'd lost control of her little kingdom. "This is a violation of the HOA bylaws," she shouted, whipping out her rule book. "Is it now?" I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I'm happy to debate that with you, Karen, but let me ask, is it a vehicle or is it a structure? Because I've got registration for both. But hey, if you want to talk bylaws, we can go down that road too." She didn't know what to say. She just snapped a few pictures on her phone, shaking with fury. "There will be repercussions," she hissed, before spinning around and storming off. The neighborhood erupted in cheers, and the block party continued. But Karen wasn't done. She'd call in the authorities, she promised. And sure enough, a few hours later, a police car rolled up. Officer Miller stepped out, his eyes tired, his body language saying, "I'd rather be anywhere but here." Karen immediately started pointing at the trailer, declaring it an illegal structure. But when Officer Miller took a look around, he just sighed. "This is an HOA matter," he said, shaking his head. "Not a police matter. If it's registered as an RV, it's fine. But let's keep it peaceful, okay?" Karen sputtered with outrage, but the officer simply turned and left, Leah VYing her with nothing but frustration. The next day, Karen called an emergency HOA meeting to vote on Remo VYing my trailer. Inside, things got heated. Karen presented a slideshow of my trailer, painting it as the EVYL invader. But I had a counter. I presented a design for a new community PA VY Lion, something everyone could enjoy year-round. And with a little help from Gus, the contractor, who offered a neighborly discount, we had the support of the entire community. Karen lost. Publicly. Completely. But the real beauty of the story? It wasn't about the trailer or the bylaws. It was about what came after: the camaraderie, the shared laughter, the bonds formed over a simple need to stay cool. And in the end, I found something I didn't even know I was looking for: a community. So what do you think? Was I in the wrong? Was Karen right to defend her rules? Or did the community deserve a little freedom? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on it.